Hey, good evening. Welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. I should say welcome to the upholstery shop. Yes, that's what I seem to be doing most of the last few days. I reupholstered the cushions. They were a leather look. I reupholstered those to be in a material because I got too much material for doing the dining nook. So either that or I went back and got some more. So I upholstered those and that went quite well. And so I decided that I would then go on and I did a little panel there, which when I first did it I got it upside down, but I rectified that mistake. And then I came out and I did, let me move that, I did this little surround, right? James cut me out some of the insulation foam that we had left over, and it's quite sturdy because it's backed on both sides by aluminum, but it still has that softness. Well, we doubled the pieces up because we had it anyway, and then I upholstered them to look like this, and that's the material that I got. I was in a quandary, would I do it in green and have too much green, or this and risk having a clash of colours. I don't consider myself great on colour actually. So I went out and I got this material. You can actually see this material better when it's in a good light. Now the thing about this material is that it's got a pattern which is very, very tight. Lots of straight lines, a grid system, and it makes it easier to get the tensions right when you're pulling the material and you can't actually see it because you do the thing upside down. So I decided that I would do the mattress that goes in here. We had a mattress which I cut down, and there's the chunk that I cut off, and I'm going to make a cushion out of that with the leftover because I ordered too much again. And what I did, I don't have a sewing machine. I always thought that I should get a sewing machine because I'm quite interested in design. And when I was in the army, mainly as a kid at the boys' school in Aberdeen, I actually used to tailor other guys' uniforms by hand, stitch them by hand, and for pennies of course, and that earned me a little bit more money. So at one time I didn't like the band that I was in, and so I actually applied to be transferred into the infantry, well, I was in an infantry band at that time, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. We were stationed in Bury St Edmunds, and I actually applied to be transferred to the tailor's shop. Not quite sure whether that was luck that it was turned down or not, but anyway, the unlikely, because I was 18 at the time, so it was turned down. So you can see that the width of the material that you buy will only take you this far. Once you've got that turnover at the other end, it'll only take you this far. But this is the inside part of the mattress, and there'll be cushions and stuff. You'll never see this seam. But anyway, what I did was I turned it over, and like I said, it's easier when you've got a pattern like this to get the straight lines, because you just choose a line, you fold it over, and you put a seam of hot glue in there, and then you press it with a bit of wood, and that gives you this seam. Now look how easy it is to lose that seam. Now perhaps if I'd thought on a little bit more and thought it through a little bit more, but then I'm too impulsive doing stuff like that. Try to stop overthinking things and just get the thing done. But if you look at that, it's not under tension, and already it's almost gone. And all I've done is hot glue a seam. I've hot glued a hem, well, you call that a hem, wouldn't you? I put a hem on it, and now it's going to be glued, and if you look between my thumb and my first finger, you really can't see it. So I'm very pleased with that. Now I've measured it carefully so that I have enough to be able to go the 6 inches of the mattress, leaving me 4 inches to tuck over and secure to the actual foam. Meanwhile, I'll have glued this. I'm going to glue this down right now. Now, you can't put too much glue on. You've got to try to get a small seam of glue, otherwise you get this bleed through. I don't know whether you can see it, but it goes dark, and ideally you don't really want that, but there's a dark spot there where my thumb is. There, you can see it there. So ideally you want it all the same colour, no dark spots, look like stain. But anyway, I will do this. Now I've been working upside down. That's how you do this. You put the first seam on over there, put that on, turn the mattress over, put it under tension and secure this. So this is now secured pretty well actually. I start off here and I put a seam of glue in, press it down, put another seam of glue in, press it down, and then when that's all fixed, look at my friend, where have you been? You're late, huh? And once you've got it down the first time, you can go and give it a secondary seam of glue, which really secures it. Now it will stand being pulled. So Kat's going to choose now which will be the most inconvenient place for her to sit. You're not supposed to be there, huh? And this is my pal, aren't you, baby? Are you my pal? Now she's not going to look at me now because she knows she's on film. Are you my baby? Are you? How come you're not talking to me now? Puss. Puss. You can see that she's nursing her 2 babies. She moves them around, grabs them by the head and carries them to another box somewhere else. Plenty of boxes. So, I'm going to put a seam of glue here and I'm going to glue this down, and then I will turn the thing upside down, and because I know that this is secure, I can pull this around and put it on the other side. So that's my little DIY report. Thanks for looking in. I'll be back. Okay, back again, and I've now secured that. I've glued my bit with the hem. I've glued it, and actually, can I brag a little bit and say you can hardly see that? And when that's against the wall, as you'll see in a video very, very soon, you'll hardly be able to see that. And with a few cushions on it and everything, my goodness, it'll disappear. That's the beauty of a squared off pattern like this. Now I'm going to turn the piece over back in a second. Okay, here we are, and you'll see that I got my 4 or 5 inches all around to secure to, and everywhere else it's double glued, double seams, even more of glue, and keeps that nice and secure. And over here looks a little bit messy here because it's dark, but what I've got is hospital corners. I don't know whether you can see there. How about I do my Superman trick? See, look, now this is the front part, so that nice pleat there is what will be seen. Okay, so now I got the last bit to go, and now I must make sure that the tension is on, and it must be equal, because I don't want it dragging to one side. So now the way that I found that works is I start off with a seam of glue right on the edge with my piece of stick, right? But what I do is I actually pull it. I can't do it one-handed, but I pull that and I stretch it over. So stretch it over and I get this. Now I'm in the center, just in case anybody is foolish enough to try to do this themselves. I pull this over and I will have put a 4 or 5 inch strip seam of glue, and that will hold the center, and then working from the center out where I can lose any pull that shouldn't be there. If I work from the outside and over onto the other side, I could quite easily end up with something like that. So you get the center centered and pulled, and if you've secured it on the other side well, you won't have any problem. And as we've seen from the other side, well actually it's not from the other side, is it? It's we've got that seam that we put on, so it can't get out of line as long as you go from the center. So now I'm going to glue this from the center, and then I'm thinking I'll just use up some of the excess material and I'll put a whole panel in here and glue it in around the edges. Won't take long, and even if you see the other side, it won't be unsightly, because this is not exactly a brand new mattress. Okay, I'll be back. Well, there's the finished piece. Well actually it's not finished, but the top part is finished, which is the important thing. And now I'm going to go on after dinner. I'll do another video and I'll show you it with a back on it, so that it doesn't deteriorate, so the foam doesn't get messed up and chipped and all of that, and it will make the job look that much nicer. But if you look now at my seam and imagine that that's going to be covered in cushions or stuff like that, it really isn't going to show very much. Certainly it is acceptable, and it will be hard wearing because it's well glued, and it's actually glued down as well, and there's quite an overlap there of 3 or 4 inches at least. So that's my little project for the night. If it went no further than this, I would be quite happy, but I will come back after dinner, maybe half an hour. There's no such thing as half an hour, is there? But anyway, I'll come back and I'll have a little tidy up, and I will put it into its rightful place, which is on the daybed, and we'll see how that looks. Thanks for looking in. I'll be back. Bye for now.